They sent humans to a Class-0 Deathworld. It didn't go as they expected. 1. The massive council chamber fell silent as Commander Lisa Warren stepped forward. Her black uniform stood out among the colorful robes and varied body shapes of the alien representatives. Hundreds of eyes from dozens of species watched her. Some blinked with multiple eyelids. Others extended on stalks for a better view. Lisa kept her face calm. Inside, she felt a mix of pride and amusement. These aliens thought they were sending her team on a suicide mission. They had no idea what humans were truly capable of. "Commander Warren," said Ambassador Zix Toril, his blue skin shimmering under the lights. His voice translator made his words sound flat and mechanical. "Your species has volunteered for a task that has claimed 17 previous expeditions. Are you certain you wish to proceed?" Lisa nodded. "My team and I are ready, Ambassador." The massive viewing screen behind the council table lit up with images of planet GX-591. Rocky mountains with sharp peaks, oceans that looked like they were boiling, storms that could tear apart metal ships, lightning that never stopped. The council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats as they looked at the images. GX-591 is classified as a Class-0 Deathworld, continued the ambassador, his eye stalks twisted with concern. No sentient species has ever established a permanent settlement there. The atmospheric conditions alone have killed most explorers within days. From her position behind Lisa, Dr. Olivia Grant coughed quietly to hide her laugh. The aliens had no idea that Earth itself was actually a Class-0 world. Humans had simply never corrected their new galactic friends when they assumed Earth was only a Class-2. "We understand the risks," Lisa said. "Humans evolved in extreme conditions. We believe we are uniquely adapted for this mission." A representative from the Volrak species leaned forward, his armored plates clicking together. "Your confidence is admirable, Commander, but perhaps misplaced. The daily temperature swings on GX-591 range from 130 degrees to -40. The gravity is 1.3 times what your species evolved in. The atmosphere contains elements toxic to most carbon-based life forms." Lisa smiled. "Sounds like a typical year in Minnesota, just a bit warmer." The joke was lost on the aliens, who looked at each other in confusion. "Your team will consist of 5 members?" asked the Volrak's representative. "Yes. Myself, Dr. Olivia Grant, our medical officer, Sergeant Maria Rodriguez, security expert, Jack Miller, environmental engineer, Dr. Alan Hayes, xenobiologist, and Kyle Peters, our communications specialist." The council members studied the human team. To them, the 5 humans looked nearly identical, all with the same basic body, shape, all relatively tall and lean compared to most council species. The aliens couldn't see the diverse skills and backgrounds that made each team member special. "The mission parameters are simple," said Ambassador Zix Toril. "Establish a functional outpost on GX-591 and survive for 1 standard galactic year. If you succeed, Earth will be granted advanced technology and expanded territory rights within council space." What went unsaid was that no one expected the humans to succeed. This was a polite way for the council to deal with the aggressive, newcomer species that had recently joined galactic society. Send them on an impossible mission, watch them fail, and then the humans would understand their place in the hierarchy. "We accept the parameters," Lisa said. "And when we succeed, the council will honor its promise." The meeting ended quickly after that. As they left the council chambers, Lisa's team gathered around her in the wide hallway. The ceiling arched, 30 feet above them, designed to accommodate species much larger than humans. "Did you see their faces?" Maria asked, her brown eyes bright with excitement. "They think we're going to die out there." "They have no idea what we're capable of," said Alan, adjusting his glasses. "Their species evolved on worlds with stable climates and few predators. They've engineered away all their natural adaptations for survival. Which is exactly why they need us," Lisa said. "The Council has been trying to establish a presence on GX-591 for decades. Something valuable is there." "The official report says mineral deposits," Jack noted. "Rare elements not found on most habitable worlds." "That's not worth losing 17 expeditions," Olivia said, shaking her head. "There's something else they're not telling us." Kyle, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. I've been monitoring their communications channels. There are references to artifacts and ancient technology in their encrypted messages. Lisa wasn't surprised. The council had been secretive from the start. Whatever's there, we're going to find it, and we're going to use it to make sure humans are never underestimated again. They reached their quarters, a suite of rooms modified to Earth standards. While the accommodations were comfortable, Lisa knew her team was eager to begin their real mission. Pack for hell, she told them. We leave in 48 hours. 2 days later, they stood in the launch bay beside their ship, the USS Horizon. It was small compared to the massive council vessels, but it was sturdy and packed with Earth's best technology, plus a few modifications the council didn't know about. Ambassador Zix Toral came to see them off. His eye stalks drooped, and what Lisa had learned was an expression of sadness or regret. Your species shows remarkable courage, he said. We will honor your sacrifice. Lisa shook his hand, careful not to squeeze too hard on his delicate bones. It's not a sacrifice if we come back alive, Ambassador. The loading ramp closed behind them. Inside the ship, the team strapped into their positions. The launch countdown began. Everyone ready? Lisa asked, looking around at her team. Born ready, Maria replied, her hand steady on the weapons console. All systems green, Jack reported from engineering. Medical bay prepped, said Olivia. Communications online, Kyle confirmed. Xenobiology lab secured, Alan added. Lisa nodded and opened the ship-wide channel. This is Commander Warren. Launch sequence initiated. Next stop, the impossible planet. The Horizon lifted smoothly from the launch pad. Through the viewports, Lisa could see the council representatives watching. Their postures showed they were already mourning the humans they believed were flying to their deaths. Little do they know, Lisa murmured as the ship accelerated toward orbit. We're just going to a place that feels like home. The Horizon broke free of the space stations, gravity well, and set course for GX-591. The journey would take 3 weeks at maximum speed, 3 weeks for the team to prepare for conditions that had killed 17 other expeditions. But unlike those others, humans knew what it meant to evolve on a world that tried to kill you every day. They knew what it meant to adapt and survive. Against all odds, they were going to a Class-0 Deathworld, and they were going to make it their own. They sent humans to a Class-0 Deathworld. It didn't go as they expected. The USS Horizon shuddered violently as it entered the atmosphere of GX-591. Lightning flashed outside the viewports, each bolt bigger than any seen on Earth. The ship dropped through thick cloud layers that glowed with strange energy. Metal groaned as the hull heated up. This is some welcome party, Jack said from his station. His hands moved quickly over the controls, making small adjustments to keep them from burning up. Lisa gripped her command chair tightly. Status report. Hull temperature rising but still within safe limits, Jack replied. Atmospheric thrusters, at maximum. Sensors show winds at 180 miles per hour, Olivia added. Atmospheric composition is similar to Earth during the Jurassic period. Oxygen levels at 30%. That's going to make things interesting, Alan said. Higher oxygen means more energy in our bodies, but also more intense fires if we're not careful. The ship broke through the cloud layer. Below them spread a landscape that looked both alien and strangely familiar. Jagged mountains with sharp peaks rose from vast plains. In the distance, a dark ocean churned with massive waves. Lightning continued to flash across the sky, striking the tallest peaks. Looks like home, Maria said with a grin. Reminds me of the Rocky Mountains, just with more lightning. Landing zone is 2 miles ahead, Kyle reported. Scanners show a relatively flat area between those ridgelines. Lisa nodded. Take us in. Everyone prepare for rough landing. The Horizon descended toward a wide valley that offered some protection from the fierce winds. As they got closer to the ground, they could see the surface was covered with what looked like reddish moss or lichen, small creatures scattered away from their approach. With a final shudder and a loud thump, the ship touched down on GX-591. For a moment, everyone sat in silence. listening to the howl of the wind outside and the ping of particles hitting the hull. "We're here," Lisa said finally. "First human footsteps on a Class-0 world officially, anyway." She smiled at her private joke. Earth was technically the first Class-0 world humans had walked on. "Environmental readings are coming in," Jack reported. "Outside temperature is 115 degrees Fahrenheit. Gravity at 1.3 g, just as expected. Wind speed at 75 miles per hour, but our landing zone is providing some shelter." "Any immediate threats?" Lisa asked. Alan checked his biological sensors. "Nothing large showing up on scans within a mile. Plenty of small life forms, though. The moss-like growth outside is everywhere." "The Council provided us with environmental suits," Olivia reminded them. "They insisted no species could survive direct exposure to the atmosphere." Maria snorted. 10 credits says I can breathe just fine out there." "No bet," Alan replied. "The air is actually less toxic than some Earth cities I've visited." Lisa stood up. "Let's suit up, but we'll test the atmosphere properly before anyone takes off their helmet. We follow protocols at first." The team moved to the airlock chamber, where 5 bulky environmental suits waited. The suits were top Council technology, designed to protect against extreme temperatures, toxic air, and high radiation. They looked impressive but felt clumsy to the humans. "These things will slow us down," Maria complained as she struggled into hers. "Just wear it for the first outing," Lisa ordered. "We'll run our own tests, then decide what equipment actually makes sense." Once suited up, they gathered at the airlock. A camera drone hovered nearby, ready to transmit their first steps back to the Council. Lisa knew there would be hundreds of alien scientists watching, all expecting to see the humans struggle or die. "Communications check," Kyle said. "Everyone reading me clearly." The team confirmed their comms were working. Lisa took a deep breath. "Open the airlock," she commanded. With a hiss, the outer door slid open. Immediately, a blast of hot air rushed in, carrying red dust particles that swirled around them. The roar of the wind was loud even through their helmets. Lisa stepped out first, her boots sinking slightly into the reddish ground. The gravity pulled at her body, making each step require more effort than on Earth. But it wasn't unbearable. In fact, it felt similar to wearing a heavy backpack during training. "First step on GX591, she said for the benefit of their audience. "Surface is stable. Movement is possible but requires extra effort due to gravity." The rest of the team followed her out. They spread out slightly, each examining different aspects of their landing site. "Temperature readings inside my suit are climbing," Jack reported. "These suits aren't as efficient as they claimed." Alan was already collecting samples of the red moss. "This is incredible. This organism has adapted to constant lightning strikes by developing a way to channel electricity through its structure." Maria walked a short distance away, testing the terrain. "Ground feels solid enough to build on. Those ridges will provide good protection from the worst storms." Olivia monitored their vital signs. "Everyone's heart rate is elevated, but that's expected with the higher gravity and oxygen levels." Lisa looked up at the sky. Dark clouds raced overhead, occasionally splitting open with lightning. In the distance, she could see what looked like a permanent storm system, spinning like a hurricane that never ended. "Kyle, what are you picking up on communications?" she asked. "Nothing artificial," he replied. "But there's a lot of electromagnetic activity. The planet itself seems to be generating signals." Lisa nodded. It was time for their first test. She reached up and carefully unsealed her helmet. The team watched her closely. "Commander," Olivia warned, "the Council data says the atmosphere contains toxic levels of sulfur compounds." "Let's find out," Lisa replied. She lifted the helmet off. The hot air hit her face immediately. It smelled strongly of ozone and something like rotten eggs, but it wasn't overwhelming. She took a careful breath, then another. "Air is breathable," she announced. "Smells like a volcanic area on Earth, but nothing we can't handle." One by one, the others removed their helmets too. Maria grinned as she took a deep breath. "Smells like New Jersey on a bad day," she joked, "but I've breathed worse." They knew the Council observers would be shocked. No other species had been able to breathe the air of GX591 without filtration. "Let's set up the basic shelter," Lisa ordered. "We need to establish our position before nightfall." Temperatures will drop quickly once the sun sets. As they worked to unload equipment from the ship, a distant roar echoed across the valley. Everyone paused, looking toward the sound. "What was that?" Kyle asked. Alan checked his scanner. "Large life form, about 3 miles away and moving in this direction. Very large." Maria reached for her weapon. "Sounds like we're about to meet the locals." Lisa smiled. This was what humans did best, adapt and survive. Whatever was coming their way, they would be ready. "Welcome to day 1 on our new home," she said. "Let's show the council what humans can really do." They sent humans to a Class-0 Deathworld. It didn't go as they expected. Part 3 1 week had passed since the humans landed on GX 591. The Galactic Council monitoring team watched in stunned silence as new data came in from the planet's surface. The main viewing screen showed Lisa's team working outside their base camp, without environmental suits, wearing only light protective clothing. "This is impossible," said the Valexian observer, his scales changing color with agitation. "The atmosphere alone should have poisoned them by now. Yet they thrive." Ambassador Zix Toril replied quietly. "They have already established a perimeter and built structures from local materials." On GX 591, morning sunlight streamed through the transparent roof panels of the main shelter. The humans had constructed it using a combination of materials from their ship and resources found on the planet. Large support beams came from a sturdy plant similar to bamboo, but with natural fire resistance. The walls incorporated the red moss that grew everywhere, which they discovered had excellent insulation properties. Lisa sat at the command table with her team, reviewing their progress. Despite the harsh conditions, they all looked healthy and energetic. The higher oxygen levels in the atmosphere had actually increased their stamina after a brief adjustment period. "Alan, what's the status on your biological survey?" Lisa asked. Alan pushed his glasses up and grinned. "Better than expected. Many of the organisms here are similar to extremophiles on Earth. I've identified bacteria that are nearly identical to what we find in volcanic hot springs. The red moss has amazing properties. It absorbs electrical energy from the lightning and converts it to chemical energy." "Could we use that for power generation?" Jack asked, leaning forward with interest. "Already working on it," Alan replied. "I think we can create biobatteries that would supplement our solar panels." Lisa nodded approvingly. "Olivia, how is everyone's health holding up?" "The higher gravity is actually having positive effects," Olivia said. "Bone density is increasing, and muscle mass is up by 12%. The oxygen-rich air means more efficient blood circulation. As long as we're careful about sun exposure and maintain our water purification system, we should have no major health concerns." "What about those predators?" Lisa asked, turning to Maria. 2 days earlier, they had encountered the source of the roaring sound. 6-limbed creatures with thick armor plates and multiple rows of teeth had approached their camp. They stood 7 feet tall at the shoulder and moved with surprising speed. Maria smiled confidently. "They keep their distance now. After I demonstrated our weapons during that night attack, they seem to have recognized us as a threat. I've observed them watching the camp from ridgelines, but they no longer approach within weapon range." "I think they're intelligent," Kyle added. "They use coordinated hunting patterns and have some form of communication. The sounds they make follow specific patterns that repeat." Lisa considered this information. "Keep detailed records of any interactions. The council prohibited us from bringing primitive ballistic weapons, but I'm glad we ignored that particular rule." "Speaking of the council," Kyle said, "I've established a stable communication channel despite the magnetic storms. Actually, the storms boost our signal if we modulate on the right frequency. We're due for a check-in tomorrow." "Good," Lisa replied. "They'll be expecting reports of our struggles. Let's show them how well we're adapting instead." That afternoon, a violent quake shook the region. The ground rolled beneath their feet like ocean waves. Part of their shelter collapsed as a fissure opened in the valley floor. Lisa found herself thrown to the ground as the shaking intensified. Around her, the MIE team scrambled for stable positions. Hot gas vented from the new crack in the earth, carrying a strong sulfur smell. When the shaking finally stopped, they emerged cautiously to assess the damage. "Everyone okay?" Lisa called out, doing a quick head count. They had minor cuts and bruises, but nothing serious. Their shelter had partially collapsed with the eastern wall completely gone. "That was at least a magnitude 8, Jack said, scanning the area with his instruments. "And I'm detecting more seismic activity building. This planet has an incredibly active crust." Instead of panic, the team quickly organized into repair groups. They had experienced earthquakes on Earth. This was just another challenge to overcome. Nightfall. They had not only repaired the damaged shelter but improved it. Jack had designed a flexible foundation system that could better absorb ground movement. They incorporated a nearby cave into their design, creating a natural bunker that would provide extra protection. The council would have evacuated after that quake, Maria commented as they sat around their heating unit that evening. The temperature outside had dropped to -20 degrees, but inside their shelter, it remained comfortable. The council designs rigid structures that shatter under stress, Jack replied. They don't understand that flexibility and adaptation are the keys to survival. The next morning, Kyle set up the communication array for their scheduled check-in with the council. The main screen flickered to life, showing Ambassador Zix Taral and several other alien representatives. "Greetings, Commander Warren," the ambassador said. His eye stalks were extended fully, and what the humans had learned was an expression of surprise. "We are pleased to see you alive." "Thank you, Ambassador," Lisa replied calmly. "We've had an interesting first week. Our sensors detected a major seismic event in your region," one of the other council members said. "We assumed your shelter would be destroyed." "We had some damage," Lisa admitted, "but we've rebuilt stronger than before. The local materials are quite useful once you understand their properties." She proceeded to give them a full report, watching with hidden amusement as the council members' expressions shifted from surprise to disbelief. "The adaptive capacity of your species is unsettling," the ambassador said finally. "No other expedition has survived past the first lunar cycle. We find it rather peaceful here, actually," Lisa replied with a slight smile. "Reminds us of camping trips back home." After the transmission ended, the team gathered for their daily planning session. "They still don't get it, do they?" Maria asked. "They think we're just enduring this place, not making it our home." "That gives us an advantage," Lisa pointed out. "They underestimate us, which means they won't interfere with our real mission." Alan looked up from his data tablet. "Speaking of our real mission, I've detected unusual energy readings from the northern mountains. They don't match any natural geological formation." "Artificial structures?" Lisa asked, immediately interested. "Possibly," Alan replied. "The patterns are too regular to be natural." Lisa studied the map where Alan had marked the location. "That's our next expedition, then. If there's something valuable on this planet, that's where we'll find it." "The council said no other species has established a permanent presence here," Jack said thoughtfully. "But they didn't say no one has ever been here." Lisa nodded. "Exactly. Tomorrow we prepare for a journey north. Let's find out what secrets this uninhabitable planet is hiding." Outside their shelter, another lightning storm began. The team watched through the transparent roof as electricity danced across the sky. What the council viewed as deadly hazards, the humans saw as natural wonders. Where other species had failed, humans would thrive. The Class-0 Deathworld was turning out to be exactly what they had trained for all their lives. They sent humans to a Class-0 Deathworld. It didn't go as they expected. Part 4, the journey to the northern mountains, took 3 days. Lisa led the team across rugged terrain that would have broken most alien explorers. They traveled in a modified, ground vehicle they had assembled from parts of their landing craft. Jack had reinforced it to withstand the planet's harsh conditions. Temperature dropping fast, Olivia reported as they climbed higher into the mountains. Outside reading is now -30 degrees. Inside the vehicle, the humans were comfortable, in their thermal gear. What the Council species would consider deadly cold, the humans recognized as similar to winter in northern Earth regions. Energy readings are getting stronger, Alan said, watching his scanner. Whatever is up there, it's putting out a lot of power. The path narrowed as they entered a steep canyon. Walls of dark rock rose on both sides, streaked with veins of glowing blue mineral. Lightning flashed overhead almost constantly, creating a strange, pulsing light. "Stop here," Lisa ordered as they reached a point where the canyon widened into a circular area. "We'll continue on foot." They exited the vehicle, each carrying specialized equipment. Maria took point, her weapon ready. The gravity seemed even stronger here, pulling at their bodies as they climbed a steep path that wound up the canyon wall. "Look at these rock formations," Jack said, pausing to examine the canyon wall. "They're too regular to be natural." Lisa touched the surface. What had appeared to be natural rock was actually a constructed material, weathered by centuries of storms. This whole canyon might be artificial. They continued climbing until they reached a large plateau. Before them stood an entrance cut into the mountainside. The opening was a perfect arch, 20 feet high and just as wide. Strange symbols were carved around its edge, still visible despite centuries of erosion. "Definitely not natural," Alan whispered, his voice filled with excitement. "These are ruins of an advanced civilization." Maria scanned the entrance with her tactical sensors. No signs of movement or life forms inside, but there's a steady energy signature coming from deep within. "Let's proceed carefully," Lisa decided. "Kyle, maintain communications with base camp. If we lose contact, the backup team should be ready to come find us." They activated their light sources and entered the mountain. The tunnel inside was smooth and straight, leading steadily downward. The walls were made of the same material as the canyon, a composite substance that felt like stone but had the strength of metal. After walking for nearly a mile downward, the tunnel opened into a vast underground chamber. Their lights couldn't reach the distant walls or ceiling. The air was still and surprisingly warm. "This is incredible," Alan breathed. An entire underground complex. Their lights revealed structures that resembled buildings, arranged in concentric circles around a central platform. The architecture was unlike anything in council records, all smooth curves and spiraling forms that seemed to flow like liquid frozen in time. "Spread out and search," Lisa ordered. "Stay in pairs and maintain contact." Alan and Olivia moved toward what appeared to be a research facility. Jack and Maria explored structures that might have been living quarters. Lisa and Kyle approached the central platform. "These structures are composed of materials that should have degraded millennia ago," Alan reported over the comm link. "Whatever built them understood how to work with this planet, not against it." Lisa stepped onto the central platform. As her foot touched it, lines of blue light suddenly appeared, spreading outward like a web across the floor. The entire chamber began to illuminate as systems activated throughout the complex. "Everyone freeze," Lisa commanded. "Something's happening." A holographic display appeared above the platform, showing images of the planet and strange symbols flowing like water. Kyle studied them intently. "This technology is incredible," he said. "It's still functional after who knows how long." "Can you make sense of it?" Lisa asked. Kyle nodded slowly. "Some of these symbols are similar to mathematical constants. Universal concepts. I think I can begin to decode their language." In the research area, Alan called excitedly, "You need to see this. We've found working technology." Lisa and Kyle joined the others. Alan was examining wall panels that hummed with energy, displays showing data that still flowed across screens. "Look at these systems," Jack marveled. "They don't fight the planet's magnetic storms. They harness them for power. The lightning we see isn't just a weather phenomenon. It's part of a planetary-scale energy collection system." Lisa realized suddenly why the Council had been so determined to establish a presence on this world. They didn't send us here just to test human endurance. They sent us because they couldn't access this technology themselves. "These builders," Alan said, examining a display that showed biological data. "They weren't alien to this world. According to this, they evolved here. They adapted to these conditions naturally, just as we adapted to Earth. A native intelligent species on a Class-0 world, Olivia said. The Council probably doesn't believe that's possible. Kyle had been working with an interface panel. I've managed to activate their main data system. There's a record of who they were and what happened to them. A new hologram appeared, showing bipedal beings with features that seemed almost familiar. They were taller than humans, with more slender builds, but their basic form was surprisingly similar. They called themselves the Nehevi, Kyle translated. They evolved on this world over millions of years, but they didn't die out or go extinct. He looked up, his expression amazed. They left. Voluntarily. Left? Maria asked. Why would they abandon their homeworld? Kyle continued reading. According to this, they reached a level of technological advancement that allowed them to engineer their bodies. Instead of building technology to protect themselves from the environment, they improved themselves to thrive in it. Eventually, they evolved beyond the need for physical bodies at all. They transcended, Lisa said softly, and left all this behind. Not abandoned, Alan corrected, reading another display. Preserved. This facility is a library, a museum of their journey. They left it for whoever might follow. Lisa's mind raced with possibilities. The Council must know something about this, that's why they've been so desperate to establish a presence here. Should we report what we found? Olivia asked. Lisa thought carefully before answering. We report that we found ruins, but we don't share everything we learn, not yet. The Council didn't send us here because they thought we could succeed. They sent us because we were expendable. If they knew we had access to this technology, Jack began, they'd try to take it from us, Maria finished. Exactly, Lisa said. So we learn what we can first. We understand this technology before we tell them anything about it. Kyle was already downloading data to their secure systems. There's enough information here to advance human technology by centuries and change our position in the galactic community forever, Lisa added. When they reported their discovery to the Council the next day, Lisa was careful to share only basic information. We've found evidence of an ancient civilization, she reported, ruins of some kind of outpost. Secure any artifacts for retrieval, the Council representative ordered immediately. A specialized team will be dispatched. Of course, Lisa agreed, her expression neutral. We'll prepare everything for your arrival. After the transmission ended, the team gathered in the underground complex, which they now used as a secondary base. They're coming to take it all, Kyle said. Lisa nodded. Yes, but not before we understand it. Start with the defense systems. I have a feeling we're going to need them. They sent humans to a Class-0 Deathworld. It didn't go as they expected, Part. 3 months passed before the Galactic Council emergency response team arrived. In that time, the humans had transformed their operation. Their settlement now covered a wide area of the valley, with structures built using both their own technology and what they had learned from the Nehevi ruins. Lisa watched from the observation deck as the Council ship descended through the turbulent atmosphere. Unlike the violent entry the Horizon had experienced, the alien vessel moved smoothly, protected by advanced shield technology. It was much larger than their own ship, designed to transport a full scientific team and their equipment. They brought a big crew, Maria noted, standing beside Lisa. At least 30 personnel according to our scans. They're expecting to find us barely surviving, ready to hand over everything we found, Lisa replied. They're in for a surprise. The human settlement no longer resembled a basic outpost. Using the Nehevi technology, they had created buildings that worked with the planet's conditions rather than against them. Lightning rods captured electrical energy from the constant storms, powering their entire operation. They had gardens growing both earth plants and native vegetation, protected by clear domes that regulated temperature and humidity. Most importantly, they had thoroughly studied the Nehevi database. Kyle had decoded much of their language and science. Jack had implemented their building techniques. Alan had mapped their biological data, discovering remarkable similarities between Nehevi and human adaptive capabilities. The council ship landed, half a mile from the human settlement. A delegation of 6 aliens emerged wearing heavy environmental suits. Lisa met them at the edge of the settlement, accompanied by her team. The humans wore light protective clothing but no helmets or breathing apparatus. The lead council representative was a tall, thin being with pale green skin and 4 arms. His environmental suit had extra reinforcement and still he moved with obvious discomfort in the planet's gravity. "Commander Warren," he said through his suit's translator. "I am Delegate Zorix. We are impressed to find you alive." "Welcome to New Terra," Lisa said calmly. "We were beginning to think you'd forgotten about us." The council members looked past her at the settlement. Their body language conveyed shock even through their bulky suits. "This is unexpected," Delegate Zorix said. "You appear to have established more than a basic outpost." "We adapt quickly," Lisa replied. "Would you like to come inside? We can provide atmosphere modification in our conference room if the planet's air is uncomfortable for you." She led them to a circular building near the center of the settlement. Inside, the temperature was pleasant, and the air had been filtered to remove the sulfur compounds that the council species found objectionable. The delegates cautiously removed their helmets after their instruments confirmed it was safe. "You've violated protocol," Delegate Zorix accused once they were seated. "The technology you're using is clearly derived from the ruins you reported. All artifacts should have been secured for council retrieval, not implemented for your use." "Needed to survive," Lisa said simply. "The ruins contained knowledge that helped us do that." "This technology belongs to the council," another delegate insisted. His species had a round body covered in short tentacles, with eyes that rotated independently. "All discoveries on unexplored worlds fall under council jurisdiction." "This technology belongs to whoever built it," Lisa corrected, "and they're gone. We've learned enough to know they weren't eliminated by this planet. They evolved and moved on, just as we're evolving." She activated a display in the center of the table. It showed images of the underground complex and translations of key Nehevi records. "We know the truth now," Lisa continued. "Your council has attempted 17 previous missions to this planet, not to establish outposts but to recover Nehevi technology. All failed because no council species could withstand the conditions long enough." The delegates exchanged uncomfortable glances. "You misunderstand your place," Delegate Zorix said coldly. "Humans are newcomers to galactic society. You should be grateful for our guidance." Alan stepped forward holding a data crystal. "We've translated enough of their records to know that the Nehevi were the predecessors of the council races. The foe." Delegates shifted nervously. "That's correct, isn't it?" Lisa pressed. "The Nehevi seeded many worlds, establishing colonies that evolved into the current council species. But over time you engineered yourselves for comfort rather than adaptation. You lost what made your ancestors great." "These are complex historical matters," Delegate Zorix said carefully. "Not relevant to our current situation." "They're entirely relevant," Lisa insisted. "Because the Nehevi left a message for those who would come after them. They hoped their descendants would eventually return to the challenges of their homeworld and reclaim their adaptive strength. Instead, you sent us," Maria added, "because you couldn't do it yourselves." Lisa stood up. "We have a new proposal for the council. Earth will share what we've learned from the Nehevi archives, but as equal partners, not subordinates. We want full membership in the council, with all the rights that entails." "Impossible," one of the delegates sputtered. "Your species has barely achieved interstellar travel, but we've accomplished what 17 of your missions could not," Jack pointed out. "We've not only survived on a Class-0 world, we've thrived." Lisa placed a hand on the table. "The Nehevi left because they had evolved beyond physical form. Their technology allows for the same path, but it requires species with strong adaptive capabilities. Humans have those capabilities. Most council races have engineered them away." "Are you threatening us?" Delegate Zorix asked. "Offering to help you," Lisa corrected. The Nehevi believed adaptation was the key to advancement. They would want their knowledge shared with species that could use it properly. After hours of tense negotiation, the council delegation returned to their ship. They carried with them Lisa's proposal and a small sample of non-critical HFY technology as evidence of the humans' good faith. As the alien ship lifted off, the team gathered on the observation deck again. "Do you think they'll accept our terms?" Kyle asked. "They don't have much choice," Lisa replied. "We control the ruins now, and we've implemented enough of the defense systems to keep unwanted visitors out. What if they try to take it by force?" Maria asked. "They won't," Lisa said confidently. "The council avoids direct conflict whenever possible. Besides, we've only shared a fraction of what we've learned. They want the rest too badly to risk destroying it." Alan looked out at the storm-swept landscape that had become their home. The HFY records say they visited Earth thousands of years ago. They recognized potential in early humans, saw our adaptability. "Maybe that's why they left this archive," Olivia suggested. "They were waiting for us to find them." Jack nodded. According to the records, the HFY believed that adaptation was the foundation of true advancement. Not just technological adaptation, but biological, psychological, spiritual. Lisa watched the council ship vanish into the cloud layers. "They sent humans to a Class-0 Deathworld expecting us to fail or merely survive. Instead, we found our distant relatives and changed humanity's future among the stars." Over the next few months, more human ships arrived. Scientists, engineers, and colonists eager to study the HFY legacy and build a permanent human presence on the planet. The council eventually agreed to most of Lisa's terms, elevating Earth to full member status. On the one-year anniversary of their landing, Lisa stood on a high ridge overlooking what had grown from their small outpost into a thriving settlement. Lightning flashed overhead, but now the humans saw it as a power source, not a threat. The predators kept their distance, having learned to respect the new apex species in their territory. "They sent humans to a Class-0 Deathworld," Lisa said, softly to herself. "It didn't go as they expected. It went much, much better." Elena Vasquez stood in the grand chamber of the Galactic Council and tried not to show her anger. Around her, beings from 100 different worlds sat in floating seats that adjusted to their various forms. Some were tall and crystalline, others were clouds of glowing gas, and a few were so large they could barely fit through the chamber doors. All of them were more powerful than humanity. All of them knew it. "The human petition is denied," announced the council speaker, a Vex Thari whose body looked like animated glass. Again. Elena took a deep breath. "Honorable Council, we are only asking for 12 additional systems. We have the population. We have the resources. We have followed every rule." A booming laugh filled the chamber. War Master Kreltok of the Kroth Empire rose from his seat. He was twice Elena's height, covered in thick armor plates that were part of his natural body. His species had controlled a third of the galaxy for 10,000 years. "You have been part of this council for 200 years, human," Kreltok said, his voice dripping with contempt. "In that time, what have you accomplished? Your species controls 47 systems. 47. My empire controls 8,000. The Luminarchs control 12,000. Your children playing at the adults' table." Other council members murmured in agreement. Elena felt her face grow hot, but she kept her voice calm. "With respect, War Master, we have followed the same growth patterns as other species." "Other species had something you lack," a Luminarch said, its gaseous form pulsing with light. "Power, real power. Your largest warships are mining vessels compared to our dreadnoughts. Your weapons are toys. Your shields are paper. You exist because we allow it." Elena wanted to scream. She wanted to tell them the truth, but she couldn't. "Not yet." "Then we request more time to present our case," she said. "Denied," the speaker said. "This session is closed." Elena left the chamber with her head high, but inside she was shaking. 200 years of humiliation. 200 years of being treated like children. 200 years of watching other species take what should have been humanity's. She walked through the crystal corridors of Council Station, past aliens who barely noticed her. Her communicator buzzed. She checked it and saw a single coded message. "They laughed again." Elena typed back, "Yes, how much longer?" The response came immediately. "Soon, very soon." 50 light-years away in the dark space beyond Earth's Oort cloud, something massive floated in absolute silence. To any passing ship, it looked like a large asteroid, perhaps a captured dwarf planet that had wandered into the solar system millions of years ago. Automated systems kept it cold and dark. Nothing about it suggested it was anything but a dead rock drifting through space. Deep inside that rock, Admiral Chen Zhao walked through a corridor that stretched for miles. The walls were lined with screens showing system status, crew quarters, weapon batteries, and 1,000 other things that no asteroid should have. His footsteps echoed in the vast space. "Status report," he said to the officer walking beside him. "All systems at 98%, Admiral." Commander Sarah Okoro replied. She was young for her rank, only 35, but her grandmother had been one of the original designers of Project Colossus. Sarah had grown up knowing what her life's work would be. Main engines are ready for activation. Weapons grid is fully charged. Shield generators have passed all tests. The other 3 Titans report the same. Chen nodded slowly. He was 70 years old and had spent the last 40 of those years on this project. He remembered when they started building, back when he was just a young captain, back when humanity realized the terrible truth about the galaxy. They were alone in a universe full of predators. First contact had been Earth's greatest dream come true. The Galactic Council had welcomed humanity with open arms. They had promised friendship, trade, and growth. For the first 20 years, it had seemed wonderful. Then humanity started to understand how the galaxy really worked. The Council had rules, yes. But those rules protected the powerful. When the Vexithari wanted a human colony world, the Council had ruled in their favor. When the Kroth Empire absorbed 3 human systems, the Council called it legal territorial consolidation. When human ships were attacked by pirates, the Council said humanity should build better defenses. But when humanity tried to build better defenses, the Council limited what weapons they could develop. When humanity tried to expand faster, the Council denied their petitions. When humanity protested, the Council laughed. That was when the secret meetings began. Earth's governments, Mars colonies, and the outer settlements all agreed. If humanity was going to survive, they needed something the galaxy had never seen before. Something that would make the elder races respect them. They needed weapons that couldn't be denied or ignored. Project Colossus was born in those secret meetings. The plan was insane. It would take 150 years. It would require mining entire moons. It would need the greatest scientific minds working in absolute secrecy. It would consume resources that could have built 1,000 colonies. But it would work. "Grandmother used to tell me stories," Sarah said as they walked, "about the early days. How they had to hide everything. How every mining operation in the outer system was actually for this. How millions of people kept the secret." "It's the biggest secret in human history," Chen said. 4 world ships, each the size of Earth's moon. Each one with enough firepower to destroy entire fleets. Each one designed to make the galaxy understand that humanity is not weak. "Do you think it will work, sir?" Chen stopped walking and looked at her. "It has to work. Because if it doesn't, humanity will always be on its knees." His communicator buzzed. It was a priority message from Earth's government. Chen read it and felt his stomach tighten. "What is it?" Sarah asked. "The Kroth Empire just issued an ultimatum," Chen said quietly. "They want 12 of our colony worlds. They're giving us 30 days to surrender them or they'll take them by force." Sarah's face went pale. "That's 8 billion people." "Yes. The council will do nothing." "They never do." Chen looked at the screens around them showing the massive ship hidden inside false rock. "Get me a secure channel to Ambassador Vasquez. Then prepare to wake the Titans." "Sir, we're not ready. We need more time for final test." "We're out of time, Commander." Chen's voice was hard. "In 30 days the Kroth will attack. And when they do, they're going to discover that humanity has been preparing for this moment for 150 years. Sarah saluted and hurried away. Chen stood alone in the corridor, surrounded by the sleeping giant that he had helped build. Soon, very soon, it would wake. And when it did, the galaxy would never be the same. He thought about all the years of humiliation, all the times the Council had laughed at humanity, all the times they had been told they were too weak, too small, too insignificant to matter. "Laugh while you can," Chen whispered to the empty corridor. "You won't be laughing much longer." The Kroth ultimatum arrived on every human world at exactly the same moment. War Master Krell-Tok's face appeared on billions of screens, his armored features twisted in what might have been a smile. People of humanity, he began, his voice loud and commanding. The Kroth Empire has been patient with your species. For 200 years we have allowed you to occupy systems that rightfully belong to greater civilizations. That patience has ended. You will surrender control of the following colony worlds within 30 standard days: New Haven, Prosperity, Eden's Gate, and 9 others. Your populations will be relocated. Your installations will become Kroth property. This is not negotiable. Resist and we will take them by force. The choice is yours. The transmission ended. For a moment there was silence across human space. Then the panic began. Elena sat in her office on Council Station and watched the news feeds from Earth. Riots in Paris, protests in New Beijing. The president's office surrounded by angry crowds demanding to know how this had happened. How their government had let them become so weak. If only they knew the truth. Her secure communicator chimed. It was a direct call from Admiral Chen. She activated the encryption and answered. I saw the ultimatum, Chen said without greeting. How bad is it? 12 colony worlds, 8 billion people. The council meeting in 3 hours, but you know what they'll say. That it's legal under council law. Of course it is. The law was written by species like the Kroth. Elena rubbed her tired eyes. The evacuation transports can't move 8 billion people in 30 days. Even if we had 6 months, we couldn't do it. They're giving us an impossible deadline because they want an excuse to attack. Then we give them what they want. Elena's head snapped up. What? Let them come, Chen said, and there was something cold in his voice. Let them bring their fleets. Let them think they're going to have an easy victory. And then we show them what we've been building. Chen, we talked about this. We were supposed to reveal the Titans through diplomatic channels. A measured disclosure. Not in the middle of a battle. That was before they threatened 8 billion of our people. Chen's face was hard on the screen. I've been patient, Elena, we all have. 150 years of building in secret. Decades of watching our people be humiliated. But I will not let the Kroath kill human children, because we were too afraid to show our strength. Elena was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded. I'll stall them as long as I can. Buy us time to evacuate as many civilians as possible. When do you wake the Titans? I already did. They're powering up now. 30 days from now, when the Kroth fleet arrives, they're going to find a surprise waiting for them. The council session 3 hours later went exactly as Elena expected. She stood before the assembled species and made her case. She showed them the numbers. 8 billion people. 30 days. It was impossible. The Kroth demand is legal, the council speaker said. The colonies in question fall within territory that was disputed during the original settlement agreements. The Kroth have properly filed their claim. They're using a legal technicality to justify an invasion, Elena said, her voice rising. This isn't about law. It's about power. They know we can't fight back, so they're taking what they want. War Master Kreltok stood. The human ambassador speaks of power as if she understands it. Your species has been given every opportunity to build strength. Instead, you build mining colonies and research stations. You write poetry and make art. You are soft. The galaxy belongs to the strong. Then perhaps, Elena said quietly, you don't know us as well as you think. Kreltok laughed. I know your fleet. 300 warships. The largest is 600 meters long with weapons from the last century. Your shields can't stop our smallest missiles. You have nothing that frightens the Kroth Empire. Elena met his eyes and didn't look away. I guess we'll find out in 30 days. Something in her voice made Kreltok pause. But then he laughed again and sat down. Yes, we will. The vote was quick. The council ruled in favor of the Kroth Empire. Humanity had 30 days to comply or face military action. Elena left the chamber knowing that war was now inevitable. On the colony world of New Haven, transports worked day and night to evacuate civilians. Governor Marcus Chen, no relation to the admiral, watched the loading docks and did the math in his head. They had 47 transport ships. Each could carry 10,000 people. Even working perfectly, they could only move 14 million people before the deadline. New Haven had a population of 600 million. Governor, we have another problem, his aide said. People are panicking. They're fighting to get on the transports. Security can't control the crowds anymore. Marcus closed his eyes. This was how it ended, not with dignity but with chaos and terror. He thought about calling his brother, who worked in the Oort cloud on some classified project. But classified meant classified even for family. Tell security to prioritize children, Marcus said. Get as many kids off this world as possible. If the adults have to stay, at least save the children. In deep space, Sarah Okoro stood in the command center of Titan-01, designation Terra's Wrath, and watched systems come online for the first time in 50 years. The artificial gravity activated. The atmosphere processors hummed to life. Lights flickered on in corridors that stretched for hundreds of miles. Around her, the crew of 2 million people moved to their stations. They had trained for this moment their entire lives. Most had been born on the Titans, children of the original builders. They had lived their whole lives in secret, preparing for a day that might never come. That day had arrived. Main engines at 40% power, reported the engineering officer. All 4 Titans are responding. Weapon systems charging. Shield generators at standby. Admiral Chen walked onto the command deck. He looked around at the massive room, larger than any building on Earth, filled with stations and screens and people working with focused intensity. Status of Kroth Fleet? He asked. Their scout ships have entered our border space, Sarah said. They're scanning our defenses. Current estimates say the main attack fleet will arrive in 28 days. What are they seeing? Exactly what we want them to see. Orbital defense platforms, some frigates, a few destroyers, all of our visible military assets. Sarah pulled up a tactical display. They have no idea the Titans exist. Let's keep it that way. Chen studied the display showing human space. 12 colony worlds marked in red, billions of lives hanging in the balance. How long until all 4 Titans can move? Titan-01 and Titan-02 will be mobile in 10 days. Titan-03 and Titan-04 need 15. Full combat capability in 20 days, Chen nodded slowly. Then in 20 days, we move the Titans into position. We hide them in the outer system where the Kroth won't see them until it's too late, and when their fleet arrives when they think they've already won. He paused. We teach them what human engineering can accomplish when we have 150 years to work. A young officer at a nearby station spoke up nervously. Sir, what if it's not enough? The Kroth Empire has thousands of ships. What if 4 Titans can't stop them? Chen looked at the young man and smiled. It was not a kind smile. Son, each Titan has more firepower than the entire Kroath fleet combined. Each one can take hits that would destroy a planet. Each one was built with a single purpose, to make absolutely certain that humanity never has to bow to anyone ever again. He turned back to the display. The Kroth are about to learn a very hard lesson. When you corner humans, when you threaten their children, when you assume they're weak, you make a fatal mistake. Sarah watched the Admiral and felt a chill run down her spine. She had spent her entire life building this ship. She knew every system, every weapon, every capability, and she knew that what was coming would change the galaxy forever. The countdown had begun. 28 days until the Kroth fleet arrived. 28 days until humanity revealed its secret. 28 days until the galaxy learned that the species they had laughed at, dismissed, and humiliated had been preparing for this moment for 150 years. The underdogs were about to bite back. The 30 days passed like a countdown to the end of the world. Humanity evacuated what civilians they could, but billions remained on the 12 disputed colony worlds. People watched the skies and waited for the Kroth armada that everyone knew was coming. The galaxy watched too. News services across 1,000 worlds covered the story. Would the humans surrender? Would they fight? Most agreed it didn't matter. The Kroth Empire had never lost a war. Their military might was legendary. Against them, humanity's small fleet was nothing. On Council Station, Elena prepared for what she knew would be the most important day of her life. She dressed carefully in her formal ambassador uniform, checked her communicator one last time, and walked to the council chamber. Today, the entire galaxy would be watching. War Master Krell-Tok was already there, looking confident and pleased with himself. Around the chamber, representatives from hundreds of species had gathered to witness humanity's humiliation. Some looked sympathetic. Most looked indifferent. A few looked eager to see what would happen to a species that dared to resist. The deadline has expired, the council speaker announced. War Master Krell-Tok, you may proceed. Krell-Tok stood and activated a holographic display. It showed the Kroth armada gathering at the edge of human space. 3,000 warships, dreadnoughts, battlecruisers, carriers, and destroyers, The largest military fleet ever assembled against such a small target. The human species has refused to comply with legal council demands, Krell-Tok announced. Therefore, the Kroth Empire will take by force what was rightfully ours. Our fleet jumps to human space in 1 hour. This unfortunate conflict will be over by nightfall. Murmurs filled the chamber. 3,000 ships. Even sympathetic species had to admit that humanity had no chance. Elena stood slowly. Before you proceed, War Master, humanity has a statement to make. Krell-Tok waved a dismissive hand. Speak quickly, then. I have a war to win. Elena activated her communicator. Admiral Chen, you may begin. Across human space, Admiral Chen sat in the command center of Terra's Wrath and gave the order he had waited 40 years to give. Remove the camouflage. Show them everything. In 4 locations scattered across the outer solar system, massive objects that had looked like asteroids and rogue planets for over a century began to change. The false surfaces dissolved. The cold, dark rocks revealed themselves to be shells covering something far more incredible. 4 world ships, each the size of Earth's moon, activated their systems. Lights blazed across their surfaces. Shields shimmered into existence. Weapon batteries the size of mountains came online. Engines that could move planets roared to life. And the galaxy's sensors went insane. Every observatory, every military installation, every science station across 1,000 worlds suddenly detected 4 objects that shouldn't exist. Energy signatures off the scale. Mass readings that made no sense. Power levels that exceeded entire star systems. In the council chamber, alarms started going off. Species with advanced sensors began receiving emergency reports from their homeworlds. The Vexthari representative stood up, her crystalline body flashing with shock. That's impossible. Those readings. They can't be real, Elena smiled. I assure you they're very real. On the main display, the 4 titans appeared for the entire galaxy to see. The chamber fell absolutely silent as species after species realized what they were looking at. By the ancients, whispered a Luminarch. Those aren't ships. They're mobile planets. A Vexthari scientist was already doing calculations, his body flickering rapidly as he processed the numbers. The energy output of each one. It exceeds our entire civilization's combined fleet. This is humanity's formal petition for recognition as a major power, Elena said calmly, backed by adequate military assets as required by council law. War Master Krell-Tok was staring at the display, his expression frozen. For the first time in his long military career, he felt something he had never experienced before. Real fear. How? He said quietly. How did you build these? How did you hide them? We started the day after we joined the council, Elena said. 200 years ago, when we realized that the galaxy respects only strength, we began building strength that could not be ignored. We stripped the outer solar system to raw materials. We built construction facilities in the dark between stars. We trained crews in absolute secrecy. And we waited. 4 ships cannot defeat my armada, Krell-Tok said, but his voice lacked its usual confidence. Can't they? Sarah Okoro's voice came through the communication system. She was broadcasting from Terra's Wrath, and her image appeared on every screen in the council chamber. Behind her, the Titan's command center stretched into the distance. Let me give you some numbers, War Master. Each Titan has a crew of 2 million. Each one has shield generators powered by artificial stars. Each one carries weapons that can crack planets. Each one was built specifically to ensure that humanity never has to submit to anyone ever again. Admiral Chen appeared on the display next to her. War Master Krell-Tok, you have 1 hour to turn your fleet around. If you enter human space, if you threaten our colonies, if you attack our people, we will demonstrate exactly what these Titans can do. I strongly advise you to reconsider your plans. The chamber erupted into chaos. Species were shouting, demanding answers, calling their homeworlds. The council speaker was trying to restore order and failing completely. Elena stood calm in the center of the storm and waited. She could see the calculations happening behind Krell-Tok's eyes. He was a warrior, yes, but he was also a military strategist who had won 1,000 battles by knowing when to fight and when to retreat. This is trickery, Krell-Tok said finally. Holographic projections, sensor manipulation. Humans are known for clever deceptions. Then test us, Elena said. Bring your 3,000 ships. Attack our colonies. And discover whether we're bluffing. But War Master, she leaned forward. If you're wrong, your fleet will be destroyed. Every ship, every soldier, And the Kroth Empire will have to explain to its people how it lost its entire armada to a species you called weak. The silence that followed was deafening. Every eye in the chamber was on Kreltalk, the proud war master who had never lost, who had conquered hundreds of worlds, who had laughed at humanity's weakness. His communicator chimed. He checked it and his face went rigid. It was a report from his own fleet's sensors. They had confirmed the readings. The Titans were real. The power signatures were accurate. And if even one of those world ships engaged his armada— A tactical delay, Kreltalk said finally, to allow for diplomatic negotiations. You mean a retreat, Elena said. A tactical delay, Kreltalk repeated firmly. But everyone in the chamber knew the truth. The Kroth Empire was backing down. Across human space, people watched the broadcast and couldn't believe what they were seeing. The great Kroth fleet that had come to conquer them was turning around. The War Master who had promised victory by nightfall was requesting negotiations, and 4 massive world ships hung in space, silent and powerful, changing everything humanity had ever known about its place in the galaxy. On New Haven, Governor Marcus Chen stood in the evacuation center and watched the news with 8 billion other people. The transport ships had stopped loading. They weren't needed anymore. The Kroth weren't coming, did you know? His aide asked. About the Titans? Marcus shook his head slowly. No one knew. That's what made it possible. He watched the images of Terra's wrath on the screen, its surface covered with weapons and shields, larger than any moon. My brother works in the Oort cloud. I always wondered what he was doing out there. I guess now I know. In the council chamber, Elena submitted humanity's formal petition for major power status. She included detailed technical specifications of the Titans, deployment capabilities, and current military strength. She also included a list of demands: expanded territory, full voting rights, and an end to discriminatory policies against human interests. The council speaker looked at the document and then at Elena. This will require a full vote. Weeks of debate. Verification of claims. Take your time, Elena said. The Titans aren't going anywhere. Neither are we. As she left the chamber, she allowed herself a small smile. 200 years of humiliation. 200 years of being told humanity was too weak to matter. 200 years of building in secret, hoping that this day would come. The underdogs had just revealed their teeth, and the galaxy would never see humanity the same way again. Admiral Chen watched the Kroth fleet jump away from human space and felt a weight lift from his shoulders. 40 years of work. 40 years of keeping the biggest secret in human history. It was worth it, sir, Sarah said beside him. The galaxy's communication networks are going crazy. Everyone wants to know how we did it. How we kept it secret. How we built them. Chen smiled. Let them wonder. Let them guess. And let them remember that humanity is not what they thought we were. He looked at the tactical display showing all 4 Titans in formation, guarding human space. Terra's wrath, Hope's defiance, Unity's promise, Freedom's stand, each one a testament to human determination and patience. The galaxy wanted us to be strong, Chen said quietly. Now they get to live with the consequences. War Master Kreltalk made his decision 3 days after the Titans were revealed. Pride won over wisdom. The Kroth Empire had never retreated from a weaker species, and he would not be the first War Master to do so. If the humans wanted to fight, he would give them a fight they would never forget. The tactical delay is over, he announced to his fleet commanders. We attack at dawn. Human tricks and sensor games will not save them from Kroth steel. His chief tactical officer looked uncomfortable. War Master, the energy readings from those world ships are exaggerated, Kreltalk snapped. Humans are clever. They have made 4 asteroids look dangerous. But asteroids cannot maneuver, cannot dodge, cannot fight like real warships. We will surround them, overwhelm them, and destroy them. Then we will take the colony worlds as planned. The officer said nothing more. Orders were orders. The Kroth Armada prepared for battle. Admiral Chen received the warning 6 hours before the Kroth fleet jumped. His intelligence network had intercepted their communications. He stood in the command center of Terra's wrath and felt a strange mix of sadness and anger. They're really coming, Sarah said beside him. After seeing what we built, after we offered them a way out. Pride is a dangerous thing, Chen said. The Kroth have conquered for 10,000 years. They can't accept that a young species could threaten them. So they'll attack and we'll have to show them the truth. He activated the fleet-wide communication system. All Titans, this is Admiral Chen. The Kroth Empire has chosen war. We will engage them at Proxima Threshold. Our goal is not to kill, it's to convince. We will demonstrate our capabilities so completely that no one will ever doubt human strength again. He paused, looking around at the 2 million crew members on Terra's Wrath alone. What happens next will be remembered for 1,000 years. Make sure we do it right. The Battle of Proxima Threshold began at 0600 Standard Galactic Time. 3,000 Kroth warships jumped into human space in a coordinated assault. They arrived in perfect formation. Battle cruisers in front, carriers in the middle, destroyers on the flanks. It was a formation that had conquered 100 worlds. Waiting for them was a single Titan, Terra's Wrath. The world ship hung in space like a small moon, its surface covered with city-sized weapon batteries and shield generators. It didn't move, didn't dodge, it simply waited. Is that all? Kreltok said from his flagship. One ship? Where are the other 3? Defending the colony worlds, his sensor officer reported. They've taken defensive positions. Only this one has come to meet us. Kreltok laughed. It was the laugh of a predator who had just seen prey make a fatal mistake. The humans send one ship against 3,000. Their arrogance will be their end. All vessels, attack formation. Target that world ship. I want it destroyed. The Kroth fleet surged forward. Thousands of weapons opened fire. Missiles by the millions streaked across space. Energy beams that could vaporize mountains converged on Terra's Wrath. It was the kind of firepower that could sterilize planets. Terra's Wrath's shields caught it all. The energy splashed across the protective barrier like water against a cliff. The massive shield generators powered by artificial stars absorbed firepower that would have destroyed any normal fleet. Where missiles hit, there were brief flashes of light. Where energy beams struck, there were momentary ripples, but the shields held. Inside the command center, Sarah watched the shield status displays. Shields at 99.8%, minimal drain from their initial salvo. Return fire, Chen ordered calmly. Point defense systems only. Show them what precision looks like. Across Terra's Wrath's surface, thousands of small weapon turrets came online. They were the smallest weapons on the world ship, designed for shooting down missiles and small craft. Each turret began firing with computer-guided accuracy. In the Kroth fleet, missiles started exploding before they reached their target. Thousands of them, detonating in perfect sequence. Not one missile made it through Terra's Wrath's point defense grid. Impossible, breathed Kreltok's tactical officer. We launched 50,000 missiles. Their defense grid stopped all of them. Then we use more missiles, Kreltok growled. All carriers, launch everything. Overwhelm their defenses. The Kroth carriers opened their bays. Millions of missiles poured out, filling space with deadly ordnance. It was a swarm that blotted out the stars, enough firepower to destroy a solar system. Terra's Wrath's point defense system adjusted. More turrets came online. The small weapons, tracked, fired, and destroyed with relentless efficiency. The computer systems that controlled them had been designed specifically for this scenario. They had calculated this exact battle 1 billion times in simulation. Not one missile reached the shields. This is not possible, Kreltok said, staring at his tactical display. Nothing can stop that many missiles. War Master, perhaps we should reconsider, his officer began. No, we are Kroth. We do not retreat. Kreltok opened a fleet-wide channel. All battle cruisers, maximum power to main weapons. Coordinated strike on my mark. We will crack that shield or die trying. 200 battle cruisers charged their main guns. These were weapons that could destroy moons, powered by entire reactors devoted to nothing but destruction. They fired as one, 200 beams of pure energy converging on a single point of Terra's Wrath's shield. The shield flickered. For just a moment, it looked like it might fail. Then it stabilized. The energy was absorbed, distributed, and dissipated. The shields dropped to 98% and held. They hit us with everything they had, Sarah reported. Shield integrity stable. Damage none. Chen nodded slowly. The Croath had tried their best. They had thrown everything they had at Terra's wrath for over an hour. Billions of missiles, thousands of energy beams, coordinated strikes from their most powerful weapons. And they had accomplished nothing. Now it was humanity's turn to demonstrate. Activate main weapon system, Chen ordered. Gravitational lance, single shot. Calculate firing solution to hit maximum targets without causing permanent casualties. Sarah's fingers flew across her console. Solution calculated. Single shot will pass through 207 enemy ships. Croath armor will not protect them, but most crews should survive if their emergency systems work. Show them what we built, Chen said quietly. Fire. Deep in the heart of Terra's wrath, a weapon that had taken 50 years to perfect came online. It didn't use explosives or energy beams. Instead, it manipulated gravity itself, creating a focused lance of gravitational force that nothing could stop. The weapon fired. A line of distorted space shot out from Terra's wrath and passed through the Croath fleet like a needle through paper. 207 ships simply came apart as the gravitational forces tore through them. Armor meant nothing. Shields meant nothing. The lance passed through solid matter as if it wasn't there. Ships that could survive direct hits from nuclear weapons were shredded in seconds. Hulls buckled. Reactors exploded. Life support failed. And the lance kept going, passing through ship after ship after ship in a perfectly straight line. Then it was over. The weapon powered down. 207 Croath warships floated in pieces. Emergency pods launched desperately as survivors tried to escape. The rest of the Croath fleet sat in shocked silence. That was one shot. Admiral Chen's voice came across all communication channels. One weapon. 1% of Terra's wrath's total firepower. War Master Krell talk, I say again. Turn your fleet around. You cannot win this fight. You can only decide how many of your soldiers die before you accept that. Inside his flagship, Krell stared at the tactical display. 200 ships destroyed in one shot. One shot from one weapon on one ship. And the humans had 4 of these world ships. And each world ship had hundreds of weapons. The math was brutal and undeniable. If Terra's wrath fired again, another 200 ships would die. If it fired 10 times 2,000 ships. If the other Titans joined the battle. War Master, his tactical officer said quietly. 40% of our fleet commanders are requesting permission to retreat. Morale is breaking. The soldiers have never seen weapons like this. They think we're fighting gods. Krell felt something he had never experienced in 1,000 battles. Despair. He was the war master of the Croath Empire. He had conquered worlds. He had never lost. But standing against Terra's wrath, he finally understood what the humans had been trying to tell him. This wasn't a fight, it was a lesson. Signal the fleet, he said, his voice heavy. All ships cease fire. We are withdrawing. War Master, the Empire. The Empire will survive, Krell said. But only if we learn when to recognize superior force. The humans have won. Not through trickery or luck. Through preparation and engineering beyond anything we imagined. We retreat with honor, carrying knowledge of a new power in the galaxy. The Croath fleet turned away from Terra's wrath. 3,000 ships reduced to less than 3,000 after one demonstration of one weapon. They jumped away from human space in defeat. On Terra's wrath, Admiral Chen watched them go. Broadcast this battle data to the entire galaxy, every species, every world. Let them see exactly what happened here. Let them understand that humanity has joined the ranks of the powerful, and we earned our place through patience, sacrifice, and determination. Sarah looked at him. The galaxy will never be the same. No, Chen agreed. It won't. For 200 years, the Emergency Council session was the most heavily attended in galactic history. Representatives from every species crowded into the chamber and filled the observation galleries. News services from 1,000 worlds broadcast live. Everyone wanted to see what would happen next. Elena walked to the speaker's platform with her head high. 2 weeks had passed since the Battle of Proxima Threshold. 2 weeks of frantic diplomatic negotiations, intelligence assessments, and political chaos across the galaxy. Now it was time for humanity to state its terms. Honorable Council, she began. Humanity submits its petition for recognition as a major power under galactic law. Our evidence: 4 Titan-class world ships, each with firepower exceeding any single species' combined fleet. Battle data from Proxima Threshold confirms our capabilities. We request immediate recognition, expanded territorial rights, and full voting privileges on all council matters. The chamber was silent. Everyone knew this moment had been coming. The council speaker, still recovering from the shock of recent events, nodded slowly. The evidence is compelling. Does any species wish to contest humanity's petition? No one spoke. Even War Master Kreltok, present but diminished, kept silent. His empire was still counting the cost of challenging humanity. Then, by unanimous consent, the speaker began. Elena held up her hand. There's more. A murmur went through the chamber. More? What more could there be? The 4 Titans you've seen are our active fleet, Elena said calmly. We have 12 more under construction. They will be completed within the next 10 years. Additionally, we have begun Phase 2 of Project Colossus. She activated a holographic display showing new designs. Larger vessels, more advanced weapons, systems we haven't even tested yet. The chamber erupted. 12 more Titans? Larger vessels? Species were shouting questions, demanding details, calling for emergency votes. The revelation that humanity's show of force was just the beginning sent shockwaves through the assembly. A Vexithari counselor stood, her crystalline body flashing with agitation. This is unacceptable! Humanity could dominate the entire galaxy with such forces. We demand these weapons be dismantled immediately. On what grounds? Elena asked. Council law allows any major power to maintain whatever military they deem necessary for defense. The Kroth Empire has 8,000 warships. The Luminarchs have 15,000. Why should humanity be limited? Because your weapons are too powerful, another species shouted. 4 Titans defeated the Kroth fleet without taking damage. 16 could destroy us all. Elena let the fear ripple through the chamber. Let them feel what humanity had felt for 200 years. The terror of being powerless before stronger species. You're right to be afraid, she said quietly. The chamber fell silent. For 200 years we were afraid. Afraid of the Kroth taking our worlds. Afraid of the Vexthari claiming our colonies. Afraid that one day a powerful species would decide humanity was inconvenient and simply erase us. That fear drove us to build the Titans. That fear made us sacrifice, plan, and hide for 2 centuries. Now you feel that same fear, and you understand what it means to face superior force. She paused, letting her words sink in. But here's what you need to understand. We didn't build the Titans to conquer. We built them to survive. We seek partnership, not domination. We want equals, not subjects. Pretty words, growled a Kroth delegate. But words are cheap. How do we know you won't use those world ships to enforce your will on the rest of us? Elena smiled. Because I'm about to propose something no conqueror would ever suggest. She activated another display. It showed technical specifications, design principles, and construction methods. Humanity is willing to share some of our Titan technology with other species. Not weapons designs, we're not fools, but advanced shield generators, better engines, improved life support. We will help other species become stronger, not weaker. In exchange, we want a new treaty. What kind of treaty? The council speaker asked cautiously. A mutual defense pact, Elena said. The Titans will serve as galactic peacekeepers. When pirates threaten trade routes, we respond. When border disputes turn violent, we mediate. When hostile forces threaten peaceful species, we defend them. Humanity becomes the sword of the council, protecting all members equally. In return, we receive full major power status, territorial rights, and a guarantee that no species will ever again try to take what is ours. The chamber dissolved into debate. Species huddled in groups, discussing, arguing, calculating advantages and risks. Some saw opportunity, protection from ancient enemies. Others saw danger, dependence on human military might. All of them were trying to adapt to a galaxy where humanity was suddenly one of the most powerful civilizations. War Master Kreltok stood slowly. All eyes turned to him. The great warrior who had been humbled at Proxima Threshold. Everyone wondered what he would say. The Kroth Empire accepts humanity's proposal, he said, his voice clear and strong. I have fought humans and learned to respect them. They are not conquerors. They are survivors. And sometimes survivors make the best allies. He turned to Elena. The Empire offers a formal non-aggression pact and requests permission to study human shield technology. In exchange, we will share our tactical databases and support humanity's petition. Elena bowed her head respectfully. The Empire's offer is accepted with gratitude. One by one, other species stood and voiced their support. Some enthusiastic, others reluctant, but all recognizing reality. Humanity was now a power that could not be ignored or dismissed. The vote was called. The result was overwhelming. Humanity was officially recognized as a major power. Elena left the chamber as ambassadors surrounded her, all wanting to negotiate treaties, trade agreements, and alliances. She smiled and made polite responses, but inside she felt a weight lift that she had carried for decades. It was done. Humanity was no longer the weak newcomer. They were equals. On Terra's wrath, Admiral Chen received the news of the vote and allowed himself a moment of quiet satisfaction. Then he returned to work. 4 Titans were operational. 12 more needed to be completed. Phase 2 awaited. The galaxy might accept humanity now, but acceptance wasn't security. Only strength was security. Sarah found him in the observation deck looking out at the stars. "We did it, sir. Everything we worked for. Humanity has the respect we earned." "Yes," Chen said. "But respect is like shields. You have to maintain it constantly or it fails when you need it most. The Titans aren't just weapons, Sarah, they're a promise. A promise that humanity will never again be at anyone's mercy." "What happens now?" she asked. "Now we keep building. Keep training. Keep preparing," Chen smiled. "And we help build a better galaxy. One where strength doesn't mean domination. Where power is used to protect, not conquer." The elder species had their chance to create that galaxy. They chose hierarchy and dominance instead. Humanity will do better. Sarah looked out at the stars, thinking about her grandmother who had started this journey so long ago. She would have been proud. Yes, Chen agreed. She would. In the months that followed, the galaxy settled into its new reality. Humanity expanded to 100 systems. The Titans took up patrol routes across Council space. Human engineers began sharing technology as promised. Trade flourished. Alliances formed. And deep in Jupiter's atmosphere, hidden in the swirling storms of the gas giant, Phase 2 of Project Colossus moved forward. Construction platforms assembled something even larger than the Titans. Something that wouldn't be revealed for decades. Something that would ensure humanity's survival for centuries to come. Governor Marcus Chen of New Haven received a message from his brother in the Oort cloud. It was simple. "Sorry I couldn't tell you." "Worth it?" Marcus looked around at his colony, still safe, still free, still human. He typed back, "Yeah, worth it." The Kroth Empire sent diplomatic missions to Earth, beginning an unlikely friendship between former enemies. War Master Kreltok himself visited Terra's Wrath and toured the world ship with Admiral Chen. They stood on the observation deck and looked out at space together. "I have fought for 300 years, Kreltok said. "I have seen 1,000 battles, but I have never seen anything like this. Your species spent 200 years preparing for a single moment. That kind of patience, that kind of vision, it is worthy of respect." "The Kroth fought well," Chen said diplomatically. "In another situation against different opponents you would have won." "No," Kreltok said. "We would have lost then too, because we were fighting the wrong battle. You didn't try to beat us tactically. You changed the nature of warfare itself. That is the mark of a truly dangerous opponent." He paused. "Or a valuable ally," Chen smiled. "I think we'd prefer the second option." "As would we," Kreltok agreed. "Tell me, Admiral, how many more secrets does humanity have?" Chen's smile widened. "Enough to keep you wondering, War Master. Enough to keep you wondering." The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity was no longer the young species to be dismissed and controlled. They were equals, partners, and if necessary, they were a force that could reshape the balance of power. The underdogs had become apex predators, and they had done it through patience, sacrifice, and a willingness to play the longest game in galactic history. Elena stood on Earth, looking up at the night sky